Welcome into this Tuesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready,
Just
Clark
pull your
Ford.
screen towards
just
you.
this way?
There you go, right there.
Is that good?
Yep.
All right. We're getting a little set up. I could not see my my face before we got started, but here we are. Cameras, YouTube stream, all this fancy technology that we use here in the Clark Ford studio. We'll talk some NFL today. We'll talk some college football today. Pretty good college football as always, and more. I don't know. We'll figure out what all we're gonna hit. Yeah, that's what's in the description up there. That's what I was checking on. So anyway, that and more coming to you on the show. Appreciate everybody jumping into the stream. As always, you guys kind of dig conversation as much as anything as we get going on a podcast brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon Highway 6 West in Oxford, all blue sky locations in Mississippi. You can use the Speed Pass Plus app. It is a easy and fast way to fill up there at the pump. You can do it right there at the pump. Don't have to go inside. Don't have to touch anything. You don't have to mess with those card readers that can malfunction from time to time at other gas stations, not Blue Skies, of course. But use the Speed Pass Plus app. And maybe get a lunch special. Those are $5.69, 2 sides bread, a 32-ounce drink there at the Oxford Exxon. And maybe when you're pulling out, you've been to Clark Ford and you're riding away in a Clark Ford when you leave Blue Sky.
You should be. That make you cool, make you one of the cool kids. 662-257-1900 is the number for Clark Ford. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote, and the rest is up to you. You can shop it around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that is get you a Clark Ford today. You'll love the service. You'll love the product, and yeah, it's really that simple. 662-257-1900 guest will join us this week. I've already lined up 2 or 3 for Saturday, so actually 3 or 4, and they'll join us on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline, and Rafters on the Square is open. It'd be a great place tonight, I guess. I don't know if you want to go to Rafters to watch the presidential debate. I think the drunker you are, probably the more you would enjoy the debate tonight. That's my guess.
I think sober's the worst way to watch the debate tonight.
I think sober is a very sobering reflection on where we are as a nation tonight. That's my opinion. If you're drunk, you might actually get a kick out of it. So anyway, but then after that, there will be NBA Finals start tomorrow. Tomorrow there are 8 Major League Baseball playoff games. Then the NFL starts on Thursday. College football comes this weekend. Of course, Ole Miss at Kentucky on Saturday, 3 p.m. Central Time. So a whole lot for you to watch at Rafters, to hang out there. Rafters on the Water is open Wednesday through Sunday as well, and then Rafters in New Albany.
Got the Astros and the Twins up on the screen here.
America's team, the Minnesota Twins, for a week.
A little bit of trouble here in the first for Zach Greinke. He's got a couple guys on. I'm not going to do play-by-play of the game, but nonetheless, yeah. I do kind of like Greinke though. He cracks me up. So as much as it's very healthy to hate the Astros, Greinke makes me laugh.
He's weird, but legitimately,
it's not an act. It's
really
just weird.
Yeah,
the word eccentric was exactly made for Zach Greinke. So
some athletes try to be weird.
Yeah, that's not him. He's just.
Why is Dusty Baker wearing gloves and a mask?
He's wearing gloves.
Does Dusty Baker need gloves? Really?
What kind of gloves are they?
Like the medical gloves.
Like latex gloves?
Yeah.
Or like rubber gloves, like you clean the toilet with?
Like latex.
Just like surgical gloves?
Yeah, like when you go to the Chicory Market here, which I normally really like, and it's a great place, and I love it, but to go in, you got to be masked up. There's a limited number of people, and you have to put gloves on, and it just feels like it's just a bit much. It's just, I'm always reminded of that scene in Bull Durham when he says a little bit much for the Carolina League, don't you think? And I'm always reminded of that. I
should go there more. I always have it in my intentions, but it just doesn't really pan out most of the time.
Yeah, it's great. I love it, but I'll probably wait for some of the pandemic stuff to shut down a little before.
So, out of all the games where you don't care at all, the Twins are the one team you'd like to win because of the Astros.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want the Astros to get swept.
How long will it take that franchise to move on from that, where that's not one of the first things that clicks through their mind?
For them to apologize publicly.
Well, then never.
Yeah, so never.
Okay. Literally, everybody associated to be gone. It would take a complete and utter cleansing.
I really dislike the Dodgers, and they stole from the Dodgers.
Why do you dislike the Dodgers?
Just don't like them.
Okay. But in a very sports don't like them way.
Sports don't like them way. But now, as I've become a Cub, as Yu Darvish has become a Cub, and I've gotten to see what he's all about, and I think what a cool guy he is. And he's a really cool guy. Everybody who is around him, media, love him, that kind of thing. I mean, he's very respectful. He's tried to learn the English language, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yu Darvish's career was damn near ruined by that night. I mean, shook his confidence. Made him wonder, am I good enough to play at this level? Well, of course you are. If Trevor Bauer didn't have an insane season, Yu Darvish wins the Cy Young this year.
Mm-hmm.
He almost had his career ruined by that crap. Clayton Kershaw probably might not get a title. If he doesn't ever get a title, Clayton Kershaw will look back at that season and go, that will always be this crowning thing on Clayton Kershaw. He should have won a title that year. I don't know. Don't like him.
This is a 3-6 series?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3-6.
Twins are good, by the way. I've watched the Twins a lot this year because they played the Cubs a bunch and they played all the Central teams a bunch. They are a legitimately good baseball team.
So we talked about it yesterday. We mentioned that we were watching the game. We were talking. You went back and watched some of the game. I've gone back and watched some of the game from Saturday. You know, what impressions we kind of get second time. We've dug into Pro Football Focus stats. That's one perk with the Rivals Network. We get a lot of access to some advanced metrics and things. And I think there's a couple ways where we were vindicated in our opinions when we first watched, and in some ways where, because we're watching the ball, we're doing 10 things, maybe we didn't see some things. Both those things, Matt Corral was every bit as good as the numbers indicated at a general level, because, he had a little more pressure than we realized. He got rid of the ball quickly. He was very decisive on reads, and when he didn't have that read there, he didn't make a lot of mistakes. I thought that was pretty interesting. I was going to pull up a couple things kind of mention on the podcast to talk through. Because, I think from a stat standpoint, positives, it was what you'd expect. It's Matt Corral did a lot, maybe did some better things, and then Jerry Neal was maybe a little better than we thought he was. I mean, when you look at the Neal's stat line at 16 carries for 79 yards, you think, okay, pretty good day, fine day, nothing, whatever. Until you realize that 70 of his 79 yards came after contact. Jerry Neal averaged 4-point-something yards a carry after he was touched, meaning he got very little off before he was contacted by defenders. He eluded 11 different tackles throughout the day on Saturday. Jerry Neal, because of the way they were able to use the run game from time to time, Matt Corral was the MVP of the day, but Ely kept things going in a way that maybe I didn't realize as it was actually playing out in front of me.
Yeah, he was terrific. I mean, I said a couple of times during our watch party that the Reggie Bush comparisons that are made are not exactly fair, because Reggie Bush was amazing, but he does a lot of, through one game, he does a lot of the same things for Ole Miss that Bush did at USC.
His speed, too, is almost kind of an unfair thing from a PR standpoint, because he's really good between the tackles. His body movement's great inside. He can slip through. He can fight off some tackles in the interior a little bit. This isn't Miko McSwain where you just pitch that thing out and you got to take it around the end or you can't do anything. I mean, he's a very complete inside runner at the same time. I mean, I know that's how they're using Snoop Connor in a lot of ways, but from an every down back, he's fine inside. Frankly, some of his best numbers were inside when you break down his running direction on Saturday.
Well, Snoop is not a complete runner.
Right, yeah.
I mean, he is a between the tackles guy. He's does have another level of burst, but he's not explosive in the way Ely is. He's not versatile in the way Ely is. Snoop's not going to get around the corner consistently. He might get there occasionally, but he's not going to get there often. You have to defend Ely in every possible way. He's one of those guys that on film, defensive coordinators make a note that, hey, we can take nothing for granted against him. We can't cheat against him. Everything, you have to take him seriously. In much the same way that we were talking to Dontario Drummond today, what's coming against Ole Miss is they're going to start bracketing Elijah Moore. They're going to make Matt Corral go elsewhere, because Elijah Moore is and has been Matt Corral's security blanket for a long time. I think defenses are going to try to take that away. Make Corral go elsewhere, and there's your opportunity. That's what I would do if I were playing against Ole Miss, is I would say, hey, we're not going to let Elijah Moore kill us early. And make him go elsewhere, make other receivers make plays, make Corral prove that he'll go to those people, and then if that happens, that offense gets explosive.
Is that what you think some even late in the game was on Saturday, because they went to Yeboah 6 times in the fourth quarter? He converts all those into catches. And it's what we talked about. Mingo played a ton of snaps. They still didn't have, Drummond did early, but from a consistent throughout the game standpoint, they didn't have that second guy. I mean, if you had to put your money on somebody right now, is it the tight end, or do you expect one of those wide receivers to emerge as time goes on?
No, I think it's got to be somebody besides a tight end. I mean, the tight end's there too, and you're going to throw the ball to Ely out of the backfield, but it's got to be Drummond, it's got to be Mingo, it's got to be Braylon Sanders has to step up, and maybe even somebody else. I mean, you've got to make them pay for that. But, yeah, if you're Florida, look, Florida pays their coaches to try to win games too. And if you're Florida at the half, I mean, your adjustment is we're not going to let him destroy us.
It's where Drummond and Mingo are so important because Matt Corral, look, the middle of the field's a very hard place to throw the football, and he was excellent at it. I'll get into that in a second. But they've got to use the outsides more. They've got to get outside the hashes with the passing game as this thing goes on. That's one of the ways they can improve. Because Matt Corral on Saturday, between the hashes, 19 of 24 for 346.
Because he's got a cannon for a right arm.
Yeah, he can fit it through there. Elijah Moore runs inside routes. He hit Elijah over and over and over again. But then deep middle balls, 5 of 6 for 218. Everyone was pretty much on point on Saturday. And as I said, he got the ball out of his hand. I mean, this is from a year-over-year improvement. It's pretty incredible. He was 6 of 10 on passes that traveled 20 yards in the air, which, again, that's arm strength. That's down the field. That's throwing with a ton of velocity. He only completed 8 passes like that the entire season last year, and obviously John Rice played a ton.
9.
It was more than that, but yeah.
Look, Saturday was an indictment on Rich Rodriguez. It just was.
Okay.
Saturday was an indictment on Rich Rodriguez, on Matt Luke, on that offensive staff, and I like those guys. I'm not. They kept saying he can't make good decisions, and in one game we saw a coach. Chris Landry talked about this on SEC Football and Beyond. I think you guys would like it. It's up on this podcast feed. It's also on YouTube on rebelgrove.com or our YouTube channel. Everything okay?
I'm just turning something up.
Okay. It's what Lane Kiffin does well. He finds out what a quarterback can do well, and then he makes adjustments. He finds out what a quarterback does badly and camouflages it. That's your job. It's a cop-out looking back on it a year later to go, well, he just can't make good decisions. No, you didn't want him to play. You wanted to play the other guy. And it cost you your job. I mean, I'm not trying to be hot take on a Tuesday. I'm really not. To me, that's not even a hot take. It's a statement of fact. In one game, we saw Lane Kiffin make life easier for Matt Corral and let his arm talent show. We watched Matt Corral's confidence build pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch.
I think this, too, you mentioned that. I think it's a credit to Matt Corral. I think it's a credit to Lane Kiffin because we've talked about it in a while. It was the topic of our pregame show with Ryan Brown. It was the topic with Jeffrey after the game as well, that Lane does so much to put his quarterbacks in good positions, to make sure that they understand what their primary read is. And a lot of times that just is the read because they've already been able to dissect the defense enough to know that's where they want to go with the football.
Chris said they did a lot of using motion to let Matt see the defense to simplify the read.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, Chris watches a different game than I watch.
Yeah, sure.
But when he explained it to me, I'm like, okay, now I know to look for that. They're basically doing a lot of pre-snap stuff, not to confuse the defense.
To help Matt understand.
But to diagnose the defense.
Sure, yeah.
To make the read obvious. Now, Florida, as the game adjusted, did some things to try to say, hey, if you're going to keep forcing it to Elijah Moore, we're going to make you pay for it. And to Matt's credit, and probably to Kiffin's credit and Levy's credit, and I mean, we're only one game in. I don't know who to give all the credit to. But they said, okay, so they're going to take him away, so now we're going to make Yeboah the primary read. And boom, there he is.
Yeah, primary read on Saturday. And again, this could be a little funky, but for the most part, that's what this means. Essentially, when Matt had the ball leave his hand within 2.5 seconds of the snap, which is going to be a primary read because you'll have time to go through progressions, and under 2.5 seconds, he was 12 of 14 on attempts. So he knew where it was. He hit it. They moved on. I mean, it was almost a perfect day from that standpoint.
That's a teamwork thing.
100%. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's credit to a lot of different people.
Yep. It's also revelatory of his talent.
Here's the other thing, though, and this is pretty impressive from a one year to the next. I get one game sample sizes. We understand that. We'll monitor this as the week goes on. But when he did have to hold the ball longer than 2.5 seconds, He's going to be getting pressure at this point. You're going to the secondary, the third read. Elijah Moore is no longer the read you're looking at. You got to go find somebody else. He was still 10 of 17.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Last season, he was 19 of 52. That's 36%, by the way.
It tells me that Kiffin and Levy and whoever else did a really good job with him during the preseason, helping him understand what it is that they were trying to do, to understand progressions. I've seen some people do it. Oh, Florida's not going to be good on defense. Look at what Florida recruits every year. There's no way they're going to be bad on defense. When was the last time Florida was, quote, bad, end quote, on defense?
They're not bad on defense.
Stop.
Ever.
That roster's full of athletes. Kiffin and Levy had a good plan, and Matt did a really good job of executing it.
And that's really it. That's
it.
Yeah. Corral also had to deal with more offensive line breakdowns than I thought at first glance. When we see some of the metrics on that, it didn't necessarily look like it live. I think that's a credit to, again, scheme. That's credit to Matt moving around in the pocket maybe a little better than we were used to seeing from him, because Florida played coverage a lot, and they still were able to get pressure. I think that's one thing to watch as he goes forward, because, look, Kentucky's good on defense. Like, I think that
legitimately.
You see Kentucky across the front of the jersey, and you go, okay, whatever. But they've signed some dudes. They're pretty talented on defense,
especially in the back end.
Yeah, they can get after you a little bit. Because Florida, I'm looking at it here, they only brought pressure on 9 of Corral's 42 dropbacks.
Well, they were able to generate. When you can generate pressure without bringing it, there's no reason to bring it.
And point being, they still got to him 4 times in total. One of those was on Matt, according to Pro Football Focus. 3 of those was just Florida getting to him in an offensive line standpoint. But even beyond the 4 sacks, he was hurried 16 times. That means 20 times of his dropbacks he was affected. That's a really high number for somebody who completed such a high percentage of his passes for almost 400 yards. That means he really did do well under duress, maybe even beyond I was realizing as it played out in game action. I mean, that's a pretty substantial stat on credit for Matt, and also what has to get better, because you can't rely on that every single week.
No, you can't. They've got to get better up front. Ben Brown talks about that today. They've got to do some things up front better than they did.
Is going to see great defensive ends all year because you're in the SEC. Nick Broker's got to get better. He allowed seven pressures at 1 hit and 6 hurries on Saturday. That led the team from that standpoint. I think it was 4 for a couple guys, 3 for a guy or 2, and then or 3 for a guy. And then Ben Brown had a really good day. He only allowed 1 pressure the entire day up the middle.
So one of the things I was talking to Chris about today is there's this kind of a myth. Media is lazy. We're lazy too. Everybody's lazy in general. There's a kind of a deal in media with you set a narrative, and the narrative is that Ole Miss has no talent. And on the defensive side, I do question how many NFL players are over there. On the offensive side, there's NFL talent. Ben Brown's going to play in the NFL.
Yes. Yeah.
Broker's got NFL talent. Got to get better.
Still young.
But Elijah Moore's playing in the league. I mean, he's got 9 games left in his Ole Miss career. I mean, he's going to the league.
To be 2 redshirt freshmen, McIntyre and James played fine.
Yeah.
They were not bad.
But my point is Jerry and Ely's an NFL talent.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
There's my point. Kenny Yeboah is
an say in today's NFL,
Yeboah's an NFL player. Yeah. And so that was my point, was this thing about, Ole Miss's offense was whatever. There was talent on this offense. But they just were running a wishbone last year. It wasn't the wishbone. I know I'm being hyperbolic. Not sure what it was.
I think John Rice is about to play in the slot more. I really do.
Well, he has a decision to make. And this is, and this, people always think I'm criticizing him. I'm not. I understand wanting to be a quarterback. And in that other offense, he was an effective run-oriented quarterback. I don't like change of pace quarterbacks. I'm a firm believer if you're playing 2 quarterbacks, it's because you don't have one. My opinion.
Sure.
I mean, like Florida gave a possession away early in the game, bringing in the other kid. Yeah. I mean, I realized that was probably a recruiting promise, but it was still a donated possession. I like one quarterback. You have a quarterback, play him.
The Saints potentially lost because of that the other night. Taysom Hill fumbled on the one they brought him in to be tricky there in the second half.
And so if I'm Plumlee, the decision I make is, do I want to play defense or do I want to be a part of the offense? And that's up to him. I mean, a lot of people Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, among others, believed he could be an impact safety. I'll take their word for it. They're pretty good recruiters. Can he play receiver? I don't know. We'll see. But you can put him in the slot, and Kiffin and Lebby have shown the ability to get fast guys the ball in space. And he's absolutely a fast guy. But look, here's the thing. And this is not meant as a criticism. But if you're Plumlee, you've got to completely accept it. You've got to buy in on it. There can't be, and I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying hypothetically, you can't be angry about the quarterback thing. You've got to accept it and embrace a new position, or else it doesn't really work.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I have a hunch, given what Ole Miss got at receiver out of some different guys, off his athletic ability and the fact that just trying to get him the ball in space, as you mentioned. Because early on, the pass wasn't great. He probably could have caught it, but it would have been a difficult catch. He did get open on the crossing route or whatever that was right there on the first series of the game. I found that more interesting than anything else. And we can say, well, it was because of promise. I have no idea what the reason was. I have no clue. But he played like 8 of the first 10 snaps and then only played 3 snaps the rest of the game. And during those spots, he played 4 different positions. He was out wide. He was registered as a running back on one of them. He played quarterback. You know what I mean? He was all over the field.
Yeah.
It was just interesting that was during the scripted portion, and then it was completely abandoned from that point. And we'll see. There's no way to answer this question. I don't know if I have a question. I just found that interesting. I don't know.
I don't know whether it was because they just didn't have a plan for him or whether they didn't like what they saw, whether they liked what they saw from others better.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, there's a lot of different things. Whether they got away from that package because they thought something else would work.
Well, because basically they stayed in 2-3 packages the whole game. I mean, it was a pretty small sample size of packages from that standpoint. I mean, when you look at it and you look at snap counts, nobody else really played. I mean, it was a very tight number of receivers, running backs, the whole deal. I mean,
well, they only played who they were comfortable with. For example, Parrish missed some time during the week, and they're like, let's just screw it. We're not going to do him at running back this week.
Yeah,
let's not do that.
Yeah, Ely and Snoop got basically the same number of carries.
Yeah,
or same number of snaps. Sorry, not carries.
So again, I mean, There's a few games this weekend I'm excited to see, interested to see, fascinated to see, and what Ole Miss looks like at Kentucky, because now Kentucky's had a week of film.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they have defensive coaches that are paid to coach defense.
Sure.
And so they'll have a better idea of what's coming than Florida probably did. Because Florida had to watch Kiffin film and UCF film. They had to think about Corral. They had to think about Plumlee.
Yeah.
Florida had to do some guessing.
Kentucky, you won't have to guess.
But not as much.
Yeah, sure. Podcast brought to you in part by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Stone County, and Chattanooga. Underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. They're getting local underwriting. Understands your market. A leader in condo financing, the float down option, and more. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
The Ole Miss men's and women's basketball teams want you in the pavilion this season. Season tickets on sale now, can be purchased by visiting OleMissTix.com. That's OleMissTix.com. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford Park Commission. Are you ready for some flag football? They'll have youth flag football this season at M-Trade Park. Registration has begun. It will continue through October the 4th. Leagues are available for ages 6 to 12 at a cost of $40 per child. There's a discount available for multiple players from the same family, so go to oxfordparkcommission.com for more details on signing up. We're also brought to you by Jupiter Security Systems, based in Madison, Mississippi. Jupiter Security Systems provides your business with the help desk, allowing you to get software at a much cheaper price than you would pay going directly to Microsoft or the different cybersecurity services. I'll get off the script here and tell you what Jupiter does. They can get into your computer and they can solve a problem for you from a remote location.
It has been quite handy.
Ask us how we know.
Yes.
I mean, I guess if you have a computer that's just full of, stuff that you wouldn't want anyone
questionable
to
material,
see.
Is that what you're going with?
I mean, maybe that's an issue. I
bet they don't care.
I don't really have anything to hide on mine, and so whatever. That being said, they don't see your data. They just go in but they do know if something malicious got installed on your computer without you knowing, and they can get it off of your computer without you having to do it. It's really cool. It's basically ADT for your computer systems and data, and it is a massive help desk for people like me who are learning new things and occasionally run into roadblocks. If you want to learn more, I recommend it. 601-519-9583. Ask for Eric or send him an email, info@jupitersecurity.net. We're also brought to you by the Iron Horse Grill. I'll have my food for thought on Friday. No idea what I'll write about this week. The last few weeks has been pretty easy. Food for thought, live music 4 times per week. The perfect place to enjoy lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. It's located at 320 East Pearl Street in Jackson. And Dead Soxy, happy to have football back. And they're celebrating the return of one of our favorite pastimes by giving you free money. All you got to do is send an email to Mike, M-I-K-E, at deadsoxy.com. Ask for a code. Get a $10 code emailed directly to you, and you can use it to get the best socks you'll ever put on your feet at Dead Soxy, DEADSOXY.com. And we're brought to you by Blue Delta Jeans. They are here for your game day needs, whether you're one of the lucky ones to get into Vaught-Hemingway or if you're watching the games at home with a few socially distant friends. A new pair of Blue Delta jeans are just what you need to look great and feel comfortable on Saturdays. Blue Delta's new line of 4-way stretch cotton pants come in 12 colors, including the powder blue that I modeled for you all the other day in a modeling debut that will be remembered for a long time. Drop by the Oxford studio, DM Blue Delta at Blue Delta Jeans on their social media or email info@bluedeltajeans.com for more information. Remember, just because you won't be in the Grove this year doesn't mean you don't need to look your best for game day.
Do we know what this week is? Yet?
I don't.
I don't either.
I need to get in touch with our friend Blake Kokenauer and find out.
I see in the stream that is very true. Ole Miss will get a look at John Sumrall's linebackers this weekend. Former Ole Miss coach back.
Good dude.
Facing the Rebels. Yeah, John's an excellent guy. Made the right decision though with the way the staff shakeup was going.
Yeah,
that was a good move for
I loved the people who are like, I can't believe he's leaving. I'm like, are you serious?
Out of a job's not a good place to be for a coach, and that's where that was headed. So,
hon, here's the deal. We can go back to Lexington, where we're both from, and
I'm well liked
and
there.
have stability, and people like me there. Or I can stay here and run the risk that it might work out.
Yeah, Lane might keep me, maybe, sort of.
Oh, he didn't even know.
Or the new dude may.
Whoever the new guy is, maybe, possibly, perhaps, but maybe not.
Yeah.
What do you think? Come on.
Lexington sounds good.
Yeah. She was packing a bag before he finished the sentence.
Any word on Altmaier getting asked in the thread?
Not officially. I mean,
what does that mean?
Well, I mean, we are prepared as a site for his commitment.
In case something happens.
We are prepared for his commitment in the event that it comes.
Well, look, I love Zach. We're prepared for 48 commitments.
Well, I have narrowed that down a little.
Okay.
I have requested of Zach that we not write about kids that are 12 years old that we
may commit one day.
Yeah.
I do feel really good about one commitment here soon.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of correspondence about that one, but
the one where Zach wrote about class of 31 wide receiver little Jimmy Johnson, I said, no, we're not doing that. We're not. He's a second grader. He really dominated a flag football game.
How old was that baseball kid we saw that day that had the perfect game profile? Was he a fifth grader?
He was a fifth grader.
He was a fifth grader.
Yeah, I wanted to go through the computer and punch someone.
It was like college entry.
Yeah, I was so angry. I was so mad.
He dominated Brookside Elementary last week. I mean,
Well, you've seen me at some of the conventions when we start talking about ninth grade profiles, and I'm just like hand raised.
You still piss people off on the pubs board? Is that still a thing? Or have you calmed a little down?
They all hate me, so I just don't go there anymore.
It is so cliquish on that pubs board.
Yeah.
Yes, we have our own message board. It's a hoot, let me tell you. Yeah, they're the true believers, if you will, and then they're the not true believers, if you will. And it's a very clear separation on that board as they move out. Move out from that. So
I've had a few of those for F's sake where I've just never.
Jay's fairly liked on both sides. He sort of plays a mayor role a little bit and kind of can get a little whatever. But
Jay's very apolitical in life,
and
that helps him. I don't mean just politics. I mean life.
He really kind of is, isn't he?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
sort of pretty live and let live and
'Cause
whatever.
I proposed for Greatest Pod in the South last week that we do a debate drinking game,
Okay.
and he wanted no part of it.
Because of the
Well,
politics.
because he's
nature?
like, I don't keep up. I don't like. Jay's one of the few people that not only will not watch the debate tonight, but will completely ignore coverage of it. Completely. And like, I wouldn't miss it because I think it's got a chance to be really interesting.
Sure.
Got a chance to be funny. Got a chance to be depressing. It's got a chance to be interesting. But I think the ratings will be off the charts.
What percentage of Americans are actually basing their vote off any of these debates?
Oh, very small.
What? It's always small, but
4 or 5%.
tops.
Yeah.
Very few people have these two candidates that go, you know what?
I just
I'm
don't
just
know.
not sure. How will I ever choose? Because, what's going to happen tonight? Like, CNN,
How do we
all of them are going to have,
differentiate?
hey, here's our group of moderates that haven't decided or whatever. And I'm like, who are you people?
I know. I would love to walk into the room and go, okay, no joke. Seriously.
Yeah, come on.
Come on. How much did you get paid to say you are a undecided moderate?
What is the profile of an undecided moderate at this point? Like, what type of human is that?
An astronaut who just got back off the space station after 4 years? I don't know. But you'd be surprised how many people have no idea what's going on in the world.
I mean, I guess.
You would be. I think you'd be surprised how many people have
really?
no clue what's going on in the world. If I said to 100 random people on the street, a prominent person died a week ago, who was she? Even giving them a hint. Who
Really?
was she? Of that 100, my guess is that at least 60 could not say Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh, come on. 60?
At least 60. At least 60.
You think 60%
If I walked through
of the general public?
If I walked through Walmart today,
This might be the Kroger for Zach on Saturday night.
if I walked through Walmart today and asked 100 random people what prominent person died in the last week, I'm not convinced that
Prominent woman.
even prominent woman, I'm not convinced that 40 could say Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'll go further.
Could they say that judge and just not know her name?
Maybe. If I were to walk through Walmart today and ask 100 people who is the vice president of the United States of America, fewer than 50 would know. If I said who is the Speaker of the House of the United States of America, fewer than 30 would know.
Yeah, now that I think is the incredible.
If I said who is the Senate Majority Leader, who really matters today,
Yeah.
fewer than 10 out of 100 would know. Those are my opinions. I could be wrong.
I think you're right on
I'm
the
a
last
cynic.
two.
I'm a cynic.
I do think general pop, the number of people who can pull out the Nancy Pelosi's and stuff is very, very low.
Yeah. But those are the people that go to the polls and act like they are.
Grind said he thinks people would know the vice.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm giving it. This is an opinion. I have no scientific basis behind it. But if you told me, hey, we're going to do this experiment, which way are you going to bet? And the over-under was 50 out of 100, I'd bet under.
Now, I do think Sammy's got a point here. He goes, Neal's 100% right. I don't know a single person under the age of 40. Now, that's too high of a number because I think a lot of my friends would get it right. But there is an age who could tell you who fought in World War II or why. I do think a very large percentage under whatever age you want to pick. I don't know what that is. I do think it's less than 40 because we were still taught that. But I think they have a hard time putting countries on sides in World War II.
If we said the Japanese bombed blank.
It's such a part of pop culture in a way that
if I said when the U.S. forces, when the Allied forces invaded Normandy, Normandy is a part of what country?
Or even invaded blank.
Invaded blank.
I think that's even
on
fair.
D-Day. Would they be able to say Normandy? Would they be able to say France?
I think Normandy is the question. Could they get? They couldn't get France. No.
Okay.
No. Very low number for that. 100% low number for that. But I think they'd have a hard time telling you who was on what side. That's my thing. Or I'm trying to think. How many could pull out even like Stalin, Mussolini, Church, like start naming leaders of these countries? You think it's such a minuscule number that we're not even worth talking about?
I just think you'd have a hard time.
Okay.
Who were the leaders of the evil Axis in World War II?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Can you get 2 out of 3? We'll give you
Oh, no chance.
Yeah.
1 out of 3 maybe because they go Hitler.
Okay. Yeah.
2 out of 3, no chance. 0.
Okay. Okay. Are you caught up on we're gonna move on, I promise, in a second. Are you caught up on Wicked Game?
I have not listened. So
And
today
96 is today.
Today is Clinton beats Dole.
Yeah.
And I have not heard it yet.
Okay. I
would assume that a lot of this one is going to be about Gingrich and the impeachment and all of that.
I haven't listened
Clinton.
yet.
Okay.
That's what I was getting at. Is I've cherry picked. You've listened all the way through.
Everyone.
I don't listen to all of them. I pick and
I've
decide
listened
what
to
I
everyone
want
and will be sad when it's over.
and
The Kennedy Nixon one was award-winning stuff. It was fantastic.
the 92 one was what I listened to this morning, and I get that. In some ways, it was nondescript at all, but I get it's not overly like, oh my God, in a lot of ways.
It was really interesting, though.
You thought it was?
Yeah.
That's where I was going. I was disappointed in 92. And now, look, I'm a Clinton weirdo. I get it. I've read way more than I should know about Bill Clinton. But I was just kind of very milquetoast on it.
Well, I remember hearing that the Bush campaign had no energy.
Yeah.
And then to find out that a lot of insiders believe that it was the death of Lee Atwater that took from that energy.
Sure.
That they never could find their stride. And Perot disappeared for a while, and then he came back, and then I thought the end of it, spoiler alert, where the Perot campaign got the call about Clinton having an illegitimate child.
Yeah.
Literally
that was interesting.
That was fascinating because that guy's on the phone right there, the head of the Perot deal, and he has a decision to make.
Do I do this or do I not do this?
Because if I play this card, there's a chance that this is the bomb that falls. And he elected not to, based off of a telephone call with, I think, George Stephanopoulos.
That's correct, yes.
Absolutely.
Because he says, I promise we're moving on.
Yeah.
Because he says Stephanopoulos was like, no, absolutely not. There wasn't even like the no comment,
Right.
the lukewarm. And he goes, hey, he's saying no to such a degree that, nah, I'm good. Like, that's not.
I don't have time to get this, so I'm going to let it go. I thought that was interesting. And both people think we're talking politics. We're really talking campaigns.
Yeah, no, it's completely different.
We're both campaign freaks as much as we are.
I don't care about politics. I want to know about campaigns.
But that was interesting. And so it made me wonder, and we'll move forward, I promise. It made me wonder what would have happened had he taken that and said, I'm going to play it. I'm going to get this out in the media right now. Does that impact the race?
It's also interesting that they pointed out, and I knew that exit polls and different research had said this, is that Perot did not impact the result of the election because the widely known fact is that he helped Clinton, like in popular thought.
Right.
But they say that when you actually statistically it was a non-factor because the debates felt like 2-on-1. So it was like, well, of course you're pulling from
George H. You asked a question though a minute ago about these debates. Do they matter?
Yeah, no, that one.
George H.W. Bush had a couple of bad debate performances.
He lost potentially the presidency on looking at his watch and Clinton taking over that question about how does it affect you
and being sort of dismissive about it.
He came off as pompous
and later admitting that he didn't want to be there.
Yeah,
that was so. Yeah, I mean, look. How many people are going to change their vote based off of tonight? How many people will go, I was going to vote for Trump, but now I'm voting for Biden, or I was going to vote for Biden, but now I'm going to vote for Trump? I don't know. But could a seed of doubt be planted about one of the two candidates? Certainly. Certainly. I mean, I think Trump could absolutely go ahead and lose the presidency in a debate. I mean, he's on the cusp of losing it anyway. I mean, a terrible debate performance or a horrific snafu.
So you think the debate is more important for Trump tonight?
No, I think it's important for both because we all deep down, all right, this can be the end of the politics.
Yeah.
Promise. We all deep down are questioning Trump.
Sure.
And then on the flip side, I mean, look, if Biden were not as old as he is and basically in a bunker, this would be so over. If it'd be done. If this were a sharp, like a Barack Obama type of candidate, a Bill Clinton type of candidate, this would be so over.
Well, and that's even too hyperbolic. I mean, frankly, John Kerry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody who's not a career orator. I mean,
a Democratic Mitt Romney.
Yeah, sure.
It'd be over.
Yeah.
Over. The fact that it's this old man, and he is, who hides in a bunker, who put the lid on his campaign yesterday at 9:36 in the morning, makes us all deep down question, is he fit? The fact that the stories that are out today.
Hillary, had she just waited to 20.
Yeah.
Because you take away the 16 stuff.
You do. Hillary was such an unlikable. That was the Democrats' fault. They ran a candidate whose unlikable numbers were sky high, and that was a mistake.
But she had a better shot in 20 than 16.
But still.
Yeah, sure.
My point on Biden is there are those of us out here. There's a lot of people out here that watch this and go, "Is this guy? Is he okay?" The reason that Trump's throwing these things out there, people say it's desperate. The thing about he wants Biden to take a urine test.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to take a drug test. He wants Biden to have his ear. He wants everybody's ears checked tonight. He leaked it out that the Biden campaign wanted timeouts tonight. That's not slinging mud. I mean, it is, but it's desperate. But it's seeds of doubt. It makes people go, so why won't he have his ears checked?
That's campaign gamesmanship. That's not anything untoward.
But it only works a little bit because it's this old guy that we all wonder, does he have dementia?
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you're doing it to Barack Obama or someone go, okay, fine,
you'd be like,
whatever.
oh, shut up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
If you were doing it to a Democratic Mitt Romney.
Yeah, sure.
You'd be like, oh, come on, stop it. This is silly.
Yeah.
But because it's this old guy that you wonder, you look at the film of Joe Biden in 15 and the film of Joe Biden in 20, and you're like, oh, no. And so that's why, it's out there. So could Biden hurt himself tonight? Sure, of course.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by Tyson Drugs and G&M Pharmacy. Immune support med packs are available. Pharmacists develop combinations of vitamins and supplements designed to boost your immune system and lung health. 30-day supply of vitamin C, zinc, NAC, probiotic, and vitamin D3 to boost your immune system, GI regulation, and more. It's the best combination of OTC supplements to prepare your body for illness or virus. You can find Tyson Drugs in Holly Springs or G&M Pharmacy on South Lamar in Oxford, 662-236-2222.
We're also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust 401k Advisory Services team is a part of Pinnacle Trust. And what you can do is you can conduct a complimentary, no-obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan just by getting in touch with them today. Mention that you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the Oxford Exxon Podcast. You'll get 10% off of your first year's fees. We're also brought to you by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Get in touch with John right now if you're thinking about traveling a little bit later this fall. There's a lot of deals out there that you can take advantage of. He knows about them. You probably don't because they're not right there on the internet. Get in touch with him, give him some parameters, give him a budget. He'll give you options, and you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. 901-494-3387 or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first booked trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast. We're also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, that's the place to go. Grenada Nissan, USA.com is the website. They've got a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles, great lease deals as well there at Grenada Nissan. And we're brought to you by Oxford University Bank, locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB is home to Kasasa. It's the absolute best cash checking account. And with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000, refund ATM fees nationwide. OUB also offers online bill pay and mobile check deposit using its online app. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured.
Current Up 2000 said, seriously, Chase, Hillary, Benghazi, emails. I get it, but are you aware of the attention span that our country has?
Yeah.
4 years later, she would have had a better shot.
She would have had a better shot, and she would. Yeah, I think
now again, she's 4 years older. She's a horrific candidate.
Someone in the thread said, and they're right, the Democrats probably ran the one candidate that couldn't beat Trump in 2016. It's why when the Democrats act like they didn't do this to themselves.
They thought they were going to win because it was frankly Bill's wife.
They thought they were going to win because they thought it was preordained that she would win, and they would have
massive numbers from certain demographics.
They would have been better off with a different candidate.
Yeah,
and they insisted on her and her unlikables. This is not a political comment from me. Her unlikables were actually higher than Trump's unlikables, and Trump's unlikables were higher than any candidate who'd ever even contemplated winning the race. People didn't like Donald Trump in 2016. They just didn't like her more. And people in 2016 had it with the establishment class.
And then she made tons of mistakes. Bill tried to tell them like halfway through the thing, you're not focusing here, and here, and you're screwing it up.
Yeah, no one would listen.
Yeah. It's funny. I mean, it's interesting looking back.
Sure. Campaigns are always fascinating to dissect them. I mean, some people say, hey, Mitt Romney ran 4 years too early. He ran against a wildly popular incumbent president instead of waiting 4 years. I mean, he wasn't going to beat Obama. Nobody was going to beat Obama in, what was that, 12?
Yeah. No, 8.
Won the first time in 8, right?
Yeah. Oh, 8 and 12. Yeah.
I was thinking about the 2012 re-election.
Yeah.
It's difficult to beat an incumbent president. It doesn't happen very often.
As you'll listen to with Clinton and Dole at some point.
I mean,
full circle.
There was
shot.
Wasn't a long line of Republicans wanting to run against Bill Clinton in 96.
Yeah.
They kept their powder dry. I'd say one of the good examples was some people had wanted Clinton
to run in 88
mm-hmm. against Bush the first time. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I don't think so.
Once Gary Hart fell out with his whole deal.
Yeah, that's what you forget is how big Gary Hart's numbers were before it got revealed that Gary Hart is susceptible to it.
Yeah. Democrats really could pick on there for a while, couldn't they? Hey, let's go down and grab.
I will miss this podcast when it's over. I've really enjoyed it. I might even there are a handful of them that I'll go back and listen to.
Yeah, so there were a lot where I just went. I probably should have, but I just didn't.
Reagan Carter was really interesting.
I didn't listen to 84.
Nah, there wasn't much to it.
Yeah, whatever.
It was good.
Looking at the schedule,
he's done a great job with that.
I'm looking at the schedule here. We like him on defense. It contradicts a little what I said yesterday. But we don't think Georgia's very good, at least right now. We'll see what the quarterback play is. I mean, relative to their ability, obviously. I'm not saying they're very
Landry pushed back on Georgia pretty hard today.
Did he?
Yeah.
Made you feel a little weird about it?
He just said, be careful with first game judgments. Really, and made compelling cases for several teams.
My question is Auburn a win on Saturday away from trying to get into a playoff at 9-1 as the second SEC team?
Well, they would have a win at Georgia.
At some point. And I think Bama beats Georgia and likely goes 10-0. So assuming I'm correct for the hell of it.
All right. Yeah. I mean,
because then you've eliminated Georgia. Now we require Florida and all kind. I get all that.
And assuming the loss to Alabama was hyper competitive.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
It's podcast fodder.
Sure.
But I look at their schedule, and there's not. I mean, they play a difficult schedule, because everybody does. It's all SEC games. But there's nothing on here that I go, oh my God, they've got this run or this stretch that's just going to be debilitating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, frankly.
It's about Auburn?
Yeah. Frankly, if you told me they have a stretch that's kind of scary, it's simply the physicality of a couple games and then running into something. The one that, I can't believe I'm giving this team credit for this.
Okay.
The week before they play Alabama, they play Tennessee.
Okay.
Right after finishing a run of Ole Miss, LSU, and State, back. One of those three teams is going to scare them. Maybe more. State and Ole Miss and LSU. Somebody's going to play them close.
State, Ole Miss, and LSU?
Yeah. By that point, somebody's going to play them close.
Yeah, probably.
Tennessee's a weird game for them right there.
Chris is not high on the accuracy of Jared Geronimo, or however you say his name.
Garantano.
I call him JG. That's my mistake. He just says his accuracy issues really limit their ceiling.
So he's not a fan.
No, and the interesting thing was to get him to talk about Kellen Mond's performance against Vanderbilt when he graded it. Frighteningly bad. Like, what the hell? I was trying to goad him into some hot takes and got very measured football takes.
Isn't that pretty much what you're always going to get?
Yeah, that's why that shows.
Shock jock is not the answer for Chris Landon. That's not where that's going.
No, my role on that show is, here's the pitch, hit it, and I'm going to step back. He was really interesting, though. He was basically, you got to be careful about judging Georgia. He was very critical of LSU's defensive plan against Mississippi State. He called it arrogance. It's made for a great headline.
In what way? What do you mean? You can tease that one part.
Okay. He said that the way that you defend the what do they call it? Not the air raid.
Air raid.
The way you defend the air raid is not strictly man coverage. You have to mix it up. He said LSU believed that it had so much talent, raw physical talent, that they could just guard it, even without Stingley. And that State saw it, and to State's credit, he said State ran 9 plays the whole game. 9 different plays. Pretty obvious that Chris had talked to the State staff. They were shocked that LSU stuck to their guns, and they just picked it apart like taking candy from a baby. He said other teams won't do that. Other teams will mix in some zone, drop off, do different things. He gave State a ton of credit, but he said you got to be careful with Mississippi State that you don't give them credit for a huge win, big win. You can't take it away from them. They'll forever have that win. But other teams will guard them differently. And then he also made the comment that I'm interested about, is more about down the road than this year. He inherited some pretty good players. They've got some players on the defensive side of the ball.
Sure.
They've got Kylan Hill, who's an NFL back, who can also catch the ball out of the backfield. They've got some receivers there, because Moorhead was going to throw it some too. Can he recruit those type of players at Mississippi State? Can Mike Leach go get those kinds of players to come in and do that consistently? He has his doubts. That's where I have my doubts. It's less about this team and more about that program. I know Leach is a hell of a good coach. I get that. I do question.
But it's not like he has a big stretch of 11-win seasons. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean,
right.
It's not.
Right. And what happens when everybody gets dialed in on it? Do you have the players to pull it off? Can you get players to come play in that scheme? NFL's not running.
The optimists would say, well, he might can find some running backs in Mississippi, which makes that almost a little more balanced and a little kind of hell out of the backfield and whatever.
They ran the ball for 9 yards.
Yeah.
They're not committed to the run. So can you get those running backs to come play for you?
Paul Johnson doesn't I mean, I get Calvin Johnson aside. He doesn't bring in 5-star receivers. I mean, it's just what happens. I mean.
Yeah. Can you consistently get players?
I saw that thing that Jordan Rodgers did, and yes, Florida ran one play 10 times, but that play had 10 variations. They ran essentially one formation with the same concept 10 times.
Right.
That was a little misleading.
It was a lot misleading. I watched it, and I enjoyed it, and I learned something.
Yeah, sure.
But I watched that play, and I'm like, but it's not. It is the same play, but it's not the same play.
Yeah.
You had different hot reads. I mean, if we're going to do that, then everybody's running the same play over and over again. It's not that damn complicated. I mean, there's not that many people.
Everybody has their base package that they run things out of.
That felt, I don't know, just forced.
He's a hell of a play caller, but yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think Dan Mullen's an offensive genius. I think he's proven that. Dan Mullen's a very good quarterback coach. He's proven that. I mean, people will take that away. Give me a break. Dan Mullen doesn't make many quarterback mistakes.
Yeah, one formation. That's what I'm willing to say about it. It was one formation.
Yeah.
One concept.
Yeah. Keydron Smith had a great quote yesterday. I don't know if people read it in my notebook. I don't know that people read notebooks. I really don't know that people read anything anymore. It's interesting. But he made a comment that because he was asked about game plan and he was asked about their strategy and blah, blah, blah. And at one point he said, a lot of times it was just athleticism. They were bigger, stronger, faster. We were in the right place. We did execute. They still made the play. Remember Mike Evans making the play on Sinquez Golson down the sideline?
Yep.
You can't cover it any better than that. Sinquez's mistake was that he was 5'9".
Yeah.
And the guy he was guarding was 6'5".
Yeah.
That was Sinquez's error.
He had position.
Yeah. So if
he played the play.
If you would like to blame that on Sinquez and say that he didn't execute the play, fair enough. If you'd like to be honest about it, Sinquez's mistake was that at conception, he did not get the height gene. So you'd have to go back a lot further than that play to really break down where it went wrong.
If it don't make money, it don't make sense. Sinquez's dad that day.
Yep.
We're in Jackson, like talking or whatever. Draft coming up. What do you think? Don't make money, it don't make sense. Okay, got it.
I mean, same guy utilizes his leaping skills
to make the Alabama pick.
Because if
if
O.J. Howard,
as soon as that extra point was missed, we all went, oh shit.
We all said Alabama's winning this game 24-23. That's what we all said, every one of us. I know how this ends. I've seen this movie.
The whole stadium went, oh shit.
Yeah. You remember the Titanic when they all die?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah. Iceberg right there.
What I remember about that play more than anything, I can't remember who it was.
The Sinquez play?
Yeah. When it went to review, there was some Ole Miss guy behind me. He goes, there is no way they're going to overturn that. And I remember thinking, for the love of God, of course they're going to overturn it. It's right there. You can see it. There's zero doubt this is going to get overturned. And it was so amazing. When it got overturned, you could almost hear the guy go, holy blank, And I was like, hey, man, you have really let the conspiracy get to you.
That one was pretty textbook.
There was a 0%.
Caught it, got a foot down.
That was easy. Now, did they want to overturn it? I don't know. Did they have to? Yeah, of course.
You couldn't hear the actual overturn, though, because it was so loud.
Got so loud.
I don't. It was a crazy day.
Yeah, that day was nuts.
I remember C.J. Johnson just crying for 45 minutes. Just couldn't stop. He was.
Yeah, that's one of two guys that I remember crying after a game where it was like they were. The other was Mike Wallace after the 45-0 Egg Bowl.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, back in the back of the IPF room.
Really?
I was sitting there talking to him, and he was just like sobbing.
Really?
Yeah. Just the emotion, the different emotion from one year to the next, and it being over and all that stuff.
Cotton Bowl.
Well, that was the Cotton Bowl that meant something. The Cotton Bowl a year later, whew.
Neither team gave 2 iotas about that one.
Yeah, why are we here?
Yeah, that's what happens when neither team wants to be there, ladies and gentlemen. That's and Ole Miss typically is the team that gives a little more of a crap most of the time. Now, we saw the 14 Peach Bowl. I get it. Yeah. There are exceptions, but
it does help to play sober.
It doesn't hurt.
Right. Yeah.
It's beneficial.
When most of the team is drunk at kickoff, that cannot go right.
Well, because in 12, they go to the Birmingham Bowl, and Ole Miss is acting like it's the national title, and Pitt's going, oh, my God. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
We've been here 4 years in a row.
The Pitt players walked into Legion Field like they were going to an execution. The Ole Miss players were like going to a party.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, we watched body language like this is not going to go well for the guys in blue and yellow.
Yeah. Podcast brought to you in part by Visit Oxford. Visit oxfordms.com. They are our partner and sponsor of our game day meals. Every game day this season, we're on the stream. Sometime during the game, we're going to pick local restaurants, ones that you're familiar with, and try to grab a couple off the beaten path as well. I've got most of the schedule lined up, but times could impact that just because, frankly, they're not all open on lunch or dinner or whatever times we need them to be on certain weeks. But nonetheless, we appreciate them back with us again this fall, and they are handling that part of our Saturday's game days. Also, you can check out the events page at visitoxfordms.com/events. October 6th, they've got the Queen's Cartoonist at the Ford Center. You got tunes around town the night before Ole Miss and Alabama. That's 5 to 7 all over the square. downtown, and then again, Ole Miss and Alabama. 5 o'clock kick is what we have for that one. Ole Miss's next home game. Again, visit OxfordMS.com.
Also brought to you by the law firm of Bain, Moss, and Bowen, PLLC, located in downtown Corinth. Their firm practices a wider range of law, from DUI defense to car wrecks to representing government entities. It's the only firm in Mississippi made up of a sitting state legislator, a former district attorney, and a former circuit court judge. Their experience is unmatched in that regard, and you can tap into it by visiting them at 618 East Waldron Street in Corinth, or by calling them at 662-287-1620. We are also brought to you by The Rogue. The Rogue is your destination for fine men's clothing. Duckhead has returned to The Rogue. The return of this icon brand remains true to its roots by producing garments of enduring quality and timeless style. So come by The Rogue and welcome back this American icon and join the revival. Known for their gold school chino for years, the 1865 five-pocket and gingham sports shirts are great for game day, work from home, and a great value. The Rogue has delivered fine men's clothing for more than 53 years, and their classic style, attention to detail, and commitment to excellent service continues to make The Rogue a special place to shop. Visit them at 4450 I-55 North in Jackson or at therogue.com. You can also reach The Rogue at 601-362-6383 or info@therogue.com. And we're brought to you by Heritage Property, home to 3 communities in Oxford, Faulkner Flats, Cambridge Station, and Lexington Point. All 3 properties are multi-family housing. They all offer on-site management and maintenance. They're pet-friendly, and they offer short-term leases. Lexington Point, located less than a mile from campus, has spacious 1-, 2-, and 3-bedroom apartment homes, with free cable and internet, covered parking, and much more. Move in by October the 1st at Lexington Point, and you get November rent free. Give them a call, 662-234-4558, or check them out at live@faulknerflats.com to get in touch with the people there at Heritage Properties.
Looks like no decisions yet on the NFL games. Titans closing their facility after multiple COVID positives today, but I haven't seen any actual news on what's going on with that as I'm scrolling down.
They shut the
facility down.
Yeah, they shut the Vikings down too, right?
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay. We did this last week. We'll see what's changed. The NFL power rankings here on ESPN.com. Chiefs obviously still at number 1, just working the Ravens last night on Monday Night Football.
I got a little bit of a take. Not even a take. We should no longer compare quarterbacks to Patrick Mahomes. It's not fair to the other quarterbacks.
He's in that realm now.
And it's not fair to Patrick Mahomes.
That different.
Deshaun Watson not looking as good as Patrick Mahomes is not an indictment on Deshaun Watson. It is a reflection on Patrick Mahomes' greatness. That's my opinion. I think sometimes we in life have a tendency to not enjoy the great times when they come.
Not know they're here. Basically.
And not know they're here.
Yeah.
These are the good old days of Patrick Mahomes. Enjoy them. He's the best player in the league. It's not particularly close. And he is an artist. He is a more athletic Joe Montana in his prime.
Ooh.
Enjoy him. This doesn't come around all the time. When the Chiefs play, we should just sit back and enjoy it and stop comparing him to the other quarterback. It's not fair to the other quarterback. Deshaun Watson is a perfectly good quarterback who would be an elite quarterback for most teams, the same for Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
But neither one of them, not Lamar Jackson, not Deshaun Watson, not any of the other quarterbacks in the league, are in his realm right now.
Quick aside, seeing it from the stream, yes, St. Leo will be one of the nights. Already planned. Talked to him.
Oh, good.
No, I'm good with the no compare thing. I get that. But you think we're entering this Michael Jordan level of quarterback play?
I do. It's a great example.
Where, hey, yeah, Barkley's great, but it's Jordan.
Yeah, and so instead of constantly looking for next, which is what we do, and constantly comparing, there is no comparison. This isn't Magic and Bird in their primes together. Where you'd be like, who's better, Magic or who's better, Bird? And one day you'd say, oh, Bird's better, and one day you'd say Magic's better. No. He's the best. It was art last night. He was unstoppable.
Ravens still at 2 in the rankings.
Yeah, of
Lost
course.
them,
They're
whatever.
fine.
Really good Seattle team at number 3. They're good.
Yeah.
Packers, number 4.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Okay.
I don't love them, but they're good.
All right, now we're getting to a place where a certain undefeated team starts to belong because they're undefeated.
Okay.
No one has beaten them.
That's true. Number 5, the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, stop. I'm kidding. They're better than the Bears.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not close.
Josh Allen, really good quarterback.
I was wrong. He's been good.
Yep.
Yes. The headline here is Josh Allen has looked like an MVP candidate in the first 3 games.
He looks like an MVP candidate if there were no Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, well, it's stupid
But
subject
yes.
right now, but yes.
Yes.
Tennessee Titans, number 6, 3-0.
Okay.
They're fun. They're good. They're fine. I don't love them, but they're fine.
Here's another example. When Ryan Tannehill plays, people start compared to don't compare him to Patrick Mahomes. Give him credit for being very good at what he is, which is being just a solid NFL game managing quarterback who doesn't make mistakes and who is athletic.
Titans have a lot of defensive issues. Just kind of reading through this here, but they are 3-0. Steelers at 3-0 at number 7.
Okay. Steelers Titans this weekend, or is it no? Is that right? No.
I don't know.
Hell, I
I
can't
don't
remember.
have that.
Yeah. Steelers at Titans this weekend.
LA Rams at number 8. 2-1. They lose the other day.
Okay.
Didn't play overly well.
Lost to Buffalo, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. They've been very good with Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, and Malcolm Brown. Again, 3 Mississippi natives there in the backfield in L.A.
Okay.
Patriots number 9.
Okay.
Cam is found a little gear there.
Are the
with
Patriots undefeated?
They're not.
They're not.
The New Orleans Saints at number 10. Not only not undefeated, but have lost more than they've won at this point.
The lack of respect here is just so frustrating.
The 49ers at number 11, 2-1 on the season.
Okay.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 12 at 2-1.
For Mitch Trubisky's sake.
Number 13, the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, my God.
The 2-1 Arizona Cardinals. Your Chicago Bears at number 14. So you made the top half. That was good.
The unbeaten Chicago Bears.
The lowest ranked undefeated team, obviously. Raiders 15, Colts 16, Cowboys 17, Browns, Chargers, Texans. Texans at 0-3, by the way. Vikings at 0-3 now.
Eagles 0-3.
0-2-1.
0-2, that's right. They punted to tie.
Yeah.
Where are the Giants on this list?
Very low, I would assume.
All right, I got this question in my mailbag. It's a good question. Our friend Frank Nicaro asked the question. I don't think he minds me
Sure, yeah.
doxing him on the board. Are the Giants already in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes at this point, even though they have a young Daniel Jones who they've invested a ton of money in? It's a great question. I know. I sat there in that very spot and went,
No, but maybe. But no. I'm still a no.
Okay, so
It's still early.
So let's say the Giants go 1-15.
Because they're bad.
Okay. Hold on. The Giants go 1-15, have the first pick in the draft. Do they trade it and try to get a collection of stuff, or do they take Lawrence and what do they do? You can't keep the pick and draft somebody other than Lawrence unless there's somebody who just is a world beater.
Somebody would have to really want Lawrence and give me a franchise level number of picks for it.
Larry Joe, I will not answer the question that you asked in the thread. I view that as a hostile question, and I do not appreciate it.
The two New York teams are 31 and 32, dead last in the NFL. The Giants at 31, the Jets at 32.
Larry Joe had to choose this moment to remind me that the Bears passed on Patrick Mahomes to take Mitch Trubisky.
They did.
That's a violent, aggressive question in the thread.
That will end up being a bigger to-do every single year.
It's Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan.
Except 9 teams did it. He was the 10th pick.
Yeah.
9 had a shot. How did he have a 500 record or even one game under at Texas Tech? Like, look, I get bad team, but
that's
a lot of great quarterbacks at least carry to a 7-win season.
They lost a lot of games like 56-49 and stuff like that.
I get it.
I mean, they played on a defense that literally could stop no one.
I mean, Eli carried Ole Miss 10-3 in 03.
He did. And Ole Miss had a really good backup linebacker that year, too.
He's a great special teams player.
He was a great special teams player.
Players taken in front of Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
How many can you name? I could have named
Mitch Trubisky.
I could have named
Deshaun Watson.
1, 2, no. I could have named 4 of the 9.
Who was the first pick that year?
That would be one defensive end from Texas A&M, Myles Garrett.
That's right, Myles Garrett, 1. And then it was Trubisky.
It was. I would have gotten both those. I would have missed number 3.
Who was 3?
He was Solomon Thomas, the defensive end out of Stanford. Number 4, Leonard Fournette, running back, LSU.
Okay.
Number 5, the Tennessee Titans took Corey Davis, a wide receiver from Western Michigan.
Ooh, that went poorly.
The New York Jets with a great pick, but not Patrick Mahomes. They took Jamal Adams, safety, LSU, with the 6th pick. Number 7, the wide receiver out of Clemson, Mike Williams, to the LA Chargers.
Okay.
And with number 8, other than it not being Patrick Mahomes, I have a hard time blaming them for this. The Carolina Panthers took Christian McCaffrey with the number 8th pick.
That worked out.
And then at number 9, the Cincinnati Bengals took the wide receiver out of Washington, John Ross.
I remember Ross. He was great player.
Yeah. And then from there, Mahomes, Lattimore, Watson went.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if Foe one more spot, the Saints could have taken him in 17.
Probably would have.
Actually, they might have.
Who was it that Peyton wanted to get and he just couldn't get to him, one of the quarterbacks?
When?
I can't. Recently, there was a quarterback that he wanted to get to, and they tried to kind of work their way up, and they couldn't get him.
Not a ton of guys deep in this draft at all. This is not a – yeah.
But, when you watched McCaffrey in college, did you think he was going to be a superstar?
No, not to this level. No.
I thought he'd be a good player.
But, he's an MVP kind of guy.
But I don't know that I ever thought Christian McCaffrey would be an MVP caliber all-pro running back.
Sure.
I don't know that I ever thought that.
In the conversation with Alvin Kamara,
yeah, and in fairness, some of that's probably because white guy from Stanford, and you're like, come on.
Yeah.
But he's a special player. He and Kamara are very similar players.
Oh, no, very similar.
Yeah.
So.
Just dudes. Kamara's a monster.
I don't mind paying Kamara. And everybody's like, hey, you can't pay it back, can't pay it back.
Well, the risk is what happened to Saquon.
Larry Joe says Sean Payton has said Mahomes would have been the pick at 11 had the Chiefs not moved up to 10.
That's what I remembered the talk about it. Payton loved him. That was, I'll tell you where I read it, Chase, it was in a Bear story. There were people that were trying to tell the Bears at 2, all you need to know is that Sean Payton loves this kid.
Hot take, Saints would have won the Super Bowl last year because Mahomes would have been the quarterback in 19.
Yeah.
Breeze would be done. And
yeah.
That era would be going on right now.
Yeah. People were trying to tell the Bears, Payton loves this guy.
So
you should take him. And supposedly Mahomes' workout in Chicago was legendary. People that saw it were like, this is over. That's who they're taking. And then they overthought it. They really liked Watson, and they went to Clemson to watch Watson and just couldn't pull the trigger on it. I like Deshaun Watson. I think he's a good player.
We don't have a great week, but we'll get back into the NFL after Sunday. They are playing. That's all that really matters.
Amen.
At the moment, the Twins are beating the Astros. The White Sox are beating the A's. Got a couple games on here.
Tomorrow, 8 Major League Baseball playoff games.
Now, that is neat, even though I hate the format and that we're doing this, other than understanding the money portion of this. But it's driving me insane. I'm not happy. Trevor Bauer and the Braves go at noon tomorrow.
Yeah, Cubs play at 1. I'm just going to warn people, tomorrow is going to be a very distracted podcast.
Okay, fair enough. Last thing, Houston has lost their entire month of September. All 5 games canceled. The Cougars can't play anybody. Nobody will play them.
What is the deal?
I don't know. Very unlucky.
So the latest game's canceled too?
This main headline on the college football page at ESPN.com is Holgorsen, quote, "Can we just play one game?" ? Yeah. Says so much for September football for the Cougars. Not 1, not 2, but all 5 of their games this month were canceled. So I can't imagine an SEC fan base with that going on. They would be ready to murder everyone involved right now.
Well, I wouldn't say that I blamed them.
All right, more coming to you at rebelgrove.com. Ton of content today. Got 5 questions with Justin Rowland. We got some of the stuff in advanced stats we mentioned. Neal's mailbag tomorrow. SEC Spotlight, they talked about Lane Kiffin recruiting a little bit, is up on the site as well. And then whatever recruiting that shakes out, which I think is likely coming very, very soon. So we'll have that at more rebelgrove.com. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.